Max coming off that hand injury, so we had to basically just kind of enter camp, you know what I mean, and ramp up. And so Max is just like straight into the fire, you know what I mean. So everything's been kind of 100 miles an hour, full speed ahead. The fire is very, very hot, but so far he's handling it. The second week's gone really well. I like all the adjustments he's made. I like how he's recognizing a lot of important things that they've been working on and pointing out. The adjustment from week 1 to week 2, it's really big, really big. I didn't expect it to be this dramatic.
Well, the only thing from the game.
I went to the UFC for 14 years now, man, and I've been top 5 in the world for quite some time now. You know, I've been, ever since I got into the pound-for-pound rank, I never felt out of it. It's just taking the information, man, like surgeries, recovery, so much things now. It's so advanced now, you know. I know someone who hurt the ACL and like they're you know, it's been like 2 months, 3 months, and they're walking on it already. They took off the brace, which is crazy, you know. Before, we'd see NFL stars, superstars decades ago hurt the ACL and they're gone for a year, never really can get back. So, but just the science and information that we have now, it's so much advanced, you know, and that's how you stay on top of the game. Like I said, man, like what we've been talking about, I learned a lot about my body over the years. Like I said, when I was young, I could recover and taking nothing. The guy's a well-rounded fighter, you know. I think a lot of people look at him and call him a jiu-jitsu guy because of his finishes. Most of his finishes is with submissions, but the guy's hurting people on the feet, you know. He's ground and pounding people, so the dude is just a dangerous man, you know. And those kind of things, when I think about it, brings a smile to my face, you know. These are the kind of people I want to beat. I want to beat the best guys in the world, and he's considered one of the best guys in the world right now. So, like I said, I'm on my way to an undisputed title, and he's just another man in the way. I mean, you know, against Charles Oliveira, you know, you gotta keep your mistakes to a minimum, to be honest. I mean, at anybody at this level, you need to keep your mistakes at a minimum. You know, it's we're dangerous people, especially when you get to these top 5 guys, man. They always find a way.
Max Holloway is already deep into his camp for Charles Oliveira, and this does not seem like a slow build at all. He seems energized, focused, and very much aware of what this fight is all about. There is a message being sent here. He is not just showing up to defend a title, he is trying to remind everyone that he is still that guy, and that the last time he stepped into the octagon with Charles was no fluke.
Take down Max Holloway and control him and submit him, especially in his recent run. You know, you're not really seeing that happen to him since he lost to fucking Dustin Poirier way back in the day via submission. So I think Max Holloway does win this fight. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. I think it's going to be a back and forth exciting fight. And because it has the BMF belt attached, it doesn't matter what happens in this fight. If it goes to a decision, Dana's going to give both these guys a bonus, and people are going to say it's the greatest fight of all time. I'm super excited for this, though. I do think it'll be good. I do want this to be a banger.
Max made it clear that this fight fits into a bigger plan. He is not chasing moments or side titles. Everything he talks about keeps pointing back to one thing: the undisputed belt. Charles is important because of where he stands right now. He is a recent champion, still respected, still dangerous, and beating him actually moves Max forward.
I mean, being the only guy to defend the BMF belt, it's cool and all, you know, but it's just another record, you know. At the end of the day, I can't sit here, relax, and smell the roses. We gotta keep going, we gotta keep trucking, you know. Now I can be the only man to defend it twice. So at the end of the day, I got history in my mind. But you know, the end goal, defending this belt is cool and all, but the end goal is the undisputed title, you know. And I believe Charles Oliveira, being a very worthy opponent, you know, he was the last one to fight for a title. He was an undisputed title holder at one point. With a win over Dustin, with a win over him, if I can go out there, do a BMF moment again, and get my hand raised, maybe we get me one step closer to the undisputed title.
And look at the corner.
You know, not at all. You know, everybody always asks that question, you know, with the BMF title, is there a different way? It's a fight, man. It's just another fight, you know. Yeah, I think I'm a BMF in any fight I did, no title or not, you know, even in the undisputed title. So at the end of the day, no difference. I mean, you know, the opponents change for sure, but no difference at all. You know, we here. I've been in this game for a long time. I know what I gotta do. I know what Charles the 30.
When Max talked about Charles' skill set, he did not reduce him to just jiu-jitsu. He brought up the damage Charles does before the fight even hits the ground. That matters because it shows Max knows this fight will not be clean or slow. Charles hurts people standing in close and during scrambles.
The first thing that comes to my mind when I hear the name Charles Oliveira, you know, former champion, an animal, a killer. A lot of people talk about him in his jiu-jitsu, but he's putting guys down with his striking and then using his jiu-jitsu. So that guy's a dangerous man, you know. I got nothing but love and respect for him. But at the end of the day, March 7th, when those octagon doors close, he's just another guy. Oliveira's a killer, man. You know, that's all I can say. Everybody keep talking about his jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu this, jiu-jitsu that. Go watch his tape back, bro. He's hurting guys on the feet, you know. He's hurting them with his boxing. He's hurting them with kicks, hurting them with knees, hurting them with elbows. He's hurting them in the clinch. The guy's a well-rounded fighter, you know. I think a lot of people look at him and call him a jiu-jitsu guy because of his finishes. Most of his finishes is with submissions, but that guy's hurting people on the feet, you know. He's ground and pounding people, so.
Max also touched on his mistakes. At this level, one small error can change everything. He is not saying Charles is unbeatable. He says Charles is the kind of fighter who will find that one opening if you give him the chance.
The dude is just a dangerous man, you know, and those kind of things, when I think about it, brings a smile to my face, you know. These are the kind of people I want to beat. I want to beat the best guys in the world, and he's considered one of the best guys in the world right now, so like I said, I'm on my way to an undisputed title, and he's just another man in the way. I mean, you know, against Charles Oliveira, you know, you gotta keep your mistakes to a minimum, to be honest. I mean, at anybody at this level, you need to keep your mistakes at a minimum. You know, it's we're dangerous people, especially when you get to these top 5 guys, man. They always find a way. How much times we see Hail Mary punches or Hail Mary submission out of nowhere? You know, this is the best guys in the world, and they're always in the fight. They're always gonna keep on fighting, so you gotta respect every aspect of the game, and I just can't wait. Like I've been saying, I can't wait to go out there, show the octagon, and show the world what I've been working on, man. We've been working on a lot, and
Max also hinted that people might see something different in this fight, but he does not promise anything flashy. He is not trying to sell a new version of himself. He is focused on execution and getting his hand raised. Whether that looks like the old Max or something new depends on how the fight unfolds.
for a very, very long time, I know ins and outs, I know what I gotta do, and I know what I need to execute to get it done in there. So I can't wait for March 7th so you guys can see the execution.
That's 3, 2, 1, go.
In this fight, you know, what I say people want to know is my ground. I think so you guys need to, a lot of people to sleep on my ground because I don't show it, you know. So maybe I get to show a little bit more ground here, maybe not. At the end of the day, I'm just going in there trying to get my hand raised, you know, trying to get a BMF moment and put my name in the drawing hat to go get an undisputed title. So you might see something new, or you might see vintage Max Holloway, you know. At the end of the day, we're gonna find out come March 7th.
For Charles, the BMF belt is not treated like a gimmick. He talks about it as something tied to legacy, something that actually means something if you earn it. This is about adding another serious mark to his career, not just holding another belt for the cameras. Charles also makes it clear that this fight did not fall into his lap. He asked for Max, he wanted this matchup and wanted the BMF belt with it. He knows exactly what kind of fight Max brings, heavy pace, pressure, real exchanges, and that is exactly what he signed up for.
And with the former champion Charles Oliveira, who will fight for the BMF belt against Max Holloway, what does this BMF belt opportunity mean for you?
E com esse campeão dos leves aqui, Charles Oliveira, que agora vai lutar pelo cinturão do BMF contra o Max Holloway. O que o BMF significa para você?
Com certeza, algo gigante, um legado. Quando você fala sobre legado, você se torna campeão do BMF, é algo gigante.
For sure, something huge, legacy. And when you talk about, being a BMF champion, that's huge for legacy.
And I know you asked for this fight against Max Holloway. How excited are you to throw down with Max? Because you both bring the fight. We know it's going to be an exciting fight. How would you describe how it's going to play out?
E a gente sabe que você pediu essa luta contra o Max e pediu esse BMF. A gente sabe que vocês dois gostam de luta, gostam de porrada, vão pra cima. Quão empolgado você ficou com essa luta?
Com certeza, 100%. Desde quando eu venho pedindo ela, eu sabia que essa luta ia acontecer. Então, com certeza, lutar contra um cara gigante como o Max vai ser muito top.
100% very excited. I knew that this fight was going to happen as soon as I asked for it. I'm very happy to fight against Max.
When Charles speaks about how the fight will play out, he does not lock himself into one outcome. He talks about hunting, staying active, and finishing when the moment shows up. The focus is not on style points, it is about winning. However, the fight opens up. Charles also connects this fight directly to his bigger goal. The BMF belt is important, but it is not the end goal. He sees this as a step back toward the undisputed title.
How'd you get your hand raised?
E como é que esse braço vai ser levantado?
Com certeza vai ser uma grande luta, né? Tudo pode acontecer. A gente está falando sobre MMA, eu vou caçar o tempo inteiro, ou eu vou nocautear, eu vou finalizar, eu quero vencer.
For sure it's going to be a great fight. Listen, anything can happen. It's MMA. I'm going to be hunting all the time. May not knock him out, maybe finish him, but I'm going to for sure have my arm raised.
How much is the goal to get back to that lightweight title once again?
E o quão grande é o objetivo que você tem também, além do BMF, de voltar a disputar o título dos leves?
As coisas acontecem no tempo de Deus, foi como eu falei, eu precisava de uma ou duas lutas para poder lutar pelo título, e aconteceu isso, essa luta ainda agora no Rio, venci uma grande luta, e agora vou começar o ano de 2026 com mais uma grande luta, vencendo o Max Holloway com certeza, sou o próximo da fila.
Things happen in God's time. I've always said this. I figured that I needed a couple of fights to get back into the title picture. I get that great win in Rio, come out with a win. Now I have a great fight coming up, beating Max.
MMA Guru leans into the idea that both guys are being pushed forward at the same time, even if the title picture is messy. The winner looks good, stays relevant, and stays in the mix, but it does not automatically fix who is next for the belt. That is where his skepticism comes in, because he does not fully buy the idea that this win guarantees a title shot.
Oliveira and Holloway were talking about how they're going to be next for the title shot if they win. Arman Tsarukyan is crying at home as we speak, because I don't think the winner of Oliveira Holloway is going to be next for a title shot. They've got to be next for Arman. If that's happening as soon as March, I don't know if Arman's going to wait out, but they've got to be talking about the winner of that versus Arman, because otherwise they're just building this like three-man queue to where Arman's standing at the back of it. It's just going to be like, Jesus Christ, dude. This is insane. Arman Tsarukyan's at the back of a Bonnie Blue line right now. This is real tough for Arman. And he's there with Flowers. You know what I mean? It's a real tough situation for Arman Tsarukyan.
On Oliveira's side, MMA Guru frames him as someone the UFC trusts to deliver chaos. Not clean wins, not safe fights, but moments. That is why this matchup makes sense to him. Charles brings unpredictability, finishes, and pressure, and that creates real tension with Max's volume style. From his breakdown, it feels like the UFC is betting on violence first and clarity later. When James Lynch talks about the first Max and Charles fight, the point is not the result, but how incomplete it was. That fight ended almost before it began because of the injury, so it never really answered anything. From his view, this rematch is less about history and more about finally seeing the fight that never actually happened, just with both guys now far more established. James then shifted into where both fighters are right now, and this is where his analysis sharpens. With Max, the focus is on consistency and durability. He points out that Max rarely gets finished and usually loses only on the scorecards. That matters here because Charles often relies on breaking opponents rather than outlasting them. If Max holds up, the dynamic of the fight changes completely. On the Charles side, the emphasis is on how strong his rebound win was and how dominant it looked. James highlights that Charles did not just win, he controlled the fight and reminded everyone he is still a real threat at the top. The fact that Charles could dictate where the fight went stood out, especially against someone known for strong defense. The real turning point in James's breakdown is the question of where this fight is fought. He makes it clear that Charles will want this on the ground, while Max will want it standing. That clash alone is what gives the fight its tension. Max's takedown defense and survival skills are presented as the key test. If he stays upright, the fight leans his way. Bedtime MMA makes it clear that this version of Charles is different. Charles is not relying on wild striking exchanges as much anymore. He is choosing to wrestle earlier, push guys to the fence, and control positions instead of chasing chaos. There is a clear expectation that Charles will land something big at some point. A knockdown, a scramble, maybe even a close submission moment. That feels almost baked into any Charles fight. But the difference, in his view, is Max's ability to survive those moments now. Max has been dropped before, hurt before, and still stayed composed enough to work his way back into fights. On the Max side, Bedtime MMA keeps circling back to activity and sharpness. The big idea is that Max is not just throwing more, he is throwing cleaner and quicker at lightweight. His movement, his combinations, and his timing are what separate him here. The belief is that Max will touch Charles often, especially to the body, and build rounds without needing one huge moment. Another key point he brings up is Max's grappling being quietly underrated. The idea is not that Max outgrapples Charles, but that he is hard to hold down and even harder to finish. Recent fights show that opponents struggle to keep Max controlled for long stretches. If Charles cannot keep him stuck on the mat early, the balance slowly starts to tilt as the rounds stack up and Max keeps coming forward. So now it all comes down to what happens when the cage door closes. Max looks ready, confident, and fully committed to this camp, while Charles is coming in with his own momentum and belief. Both men know what is on the line, and neither of them is treating this like a routine fight. One is looking to prove he still runs the show, the other is chasing legacy, and another push toward the top. However it plays out, this has all the ingredients of a fight fans will be talking about long after it ends. Let us know in the comments below who you think wins this fight.